Hello and welcome to the Clarity Confessions. I am your host, Kaylin Asher, and this is the place for clarity, inspiration, and business secrets from top female entrepreneurs. And today on the show, we have Jasmine Star. Jasmine is a branding and marketing strategist, photographer, and she loves helping entrepreneurs grow social platforms for business growth. Hey, Jasmine, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah, I'm so excited to dive in today. Now, before we move into the rapid fire questions, I just want to hear a little bit more from you about how you got started on this entrepreneurial path that you're now on.
Well, I think that it's a two-part story. So where I am now is a branding and marketing strategist for creative entrepreneurs. And I felt like I was able to step into that role having consulted and really helped a lot of photographers. I started off as a photographer in the industry, and I quickly grew my business and kind of became a leader within the industry and started helping other photographers. And that's where I rested for a while. I was loving what I was doing. And shortly thereafter, people outside of the industry started asking for advice, opinions, graphic designers, bakers, jewelry makers, owners of fitness studios. They were kind of like, can you help us with our branding? Can you help us with our marketing? And I started realizing that there's like this big need and niche for entrepreneurs to know how to use social media as a point of differentiation to enhance their brand and also kind of solidify their marketing endeavors in the most effective way.
That's fantastic. I love how you started with something you were passionate about, photography, and then this other element kind of found you. It's really cool when that happens.
Oh, it's the best. It's natural, it's unforced, and it's like you're being guided to the thing that you're supposed to do.
Exactly. When people tell you what they need, I mean, that's gold.
Exactly.
So are you ready for those rapid fire questions?
Yes, but I have to tell you, I'm terrible at rapid fire. It's like, honestly, my brain just goes to mush and I don't make sense. And I have always been, and I'm actually okay with it, being like the slowest learner in the group. So if your audience members are listening to my responses and are like, what the heck is she talking about? It's okay. I'm going to find a way to loop it back all around. But I am ready. Here we go.
Okay. I will try to be as kind and gentle as possible. So when did you get clarity about your current business?
After I jumped into it. So one of the best pieces of business advice I received as an early entrepreneur was jump and the net will appear. And that has proven itself again and again. And my career has pivoted with, I am a photographer. I will always be a photographer, but being this photographer, this is my first professional career. And within the past 11 years, I've pivoted, I would say an honest big 3 times within what I'm doing. And every time I made this big pivot and I was like, I'm not sure if this is the thing that I should be doing. The minute I jumped, the net appeared and I knew that that was the thing that I was supposed to be doing.
So can you describe your business in 10 words or less?
Branding and marketing for creative entrepreneurs.
Yeah, short and sweet. That's perfect.
Get to the point.
Why do you love your work?
I love my work because I think that it brings out the best in people, but not by the work that I have done. It's simply already existing in the people I work with, but guiding it for it to come out from them has always been like the biggest honor, because it's like, it's not just being good at what you do. It's actually unearthing a lot of confidence and security in who they are as people.
What makes you feel the most successful?
Oh, okay, this is a great question, and it's not going to make sense, but I feel the most successful when I wake up, I don't see anything on my calendar, I practice yoga, I read, I eat a decadent salad for lunch, I make a homemade dinner with my husband, and I invite my family over. Like, to me, when I have a day like that, I'm a freaking success. I'm like, watch out, world. I'm about to take it over.
I can totally relate. I think when you're living the lifestyle that you've been dreaming of, that's what success feels like to me.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So what personal practices, you actually mentioned some, or self-care do you make time for regularly?
Ooh. Well, I'm a creature of habit. I often joke that I'm like a stalker's dream. Like, you will know where I am at almost every point of the day, every day of the week. So for me, routine and regularity has really shaped how I've been able to grow my business. I work with my husband and my business partner, and we do have an assistant, but that was a recent addition. It was less than a year ago that we decided to bring somebody on in a part-time capacity, and she's helped our business. But prior to that, it's just been the two of us. And so in order to run and grow such a large business, you really, really have to streamline and be very organized. So I have a very strict timeline. Every day for self-care, I will wake up, I will pray, meditate, I will read for about 20 minutes. Then I'll get into productive aspects of my day. But practicing yoga is something I do 6 days a week. And I take hot baths. I sound like I'm 75 years old, but trust me, I'm young on the outside.
For you, what is the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
Freedom.
And what is the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur?
You have to take risks. If you don't take risks, you don't survive. And I'm not naturally a risk taker. I've had to force myself to become that person.
And this is the last one. You're doing great.
Okay. Don't stress me out.
What is one word that sums up your business mission?
Great question. Belief. I believe that I empower other people to believe in themselves. And I think that to me is empowering, and to see people pursue their passions and dreams and know that they were created to do the thing that they were created to do is my mission.
That's fantastic. And I don't think I've had anyone say belief before. You're the first.
Oh, look at me. I'm just a little pioneer on the Wild West. Thanks. That was awesome. Whew. Okay.
Yeah, you're done. You can wipe the sweat off your brow. You've emerged on the other side. So I always like asking this question of the women on the show. What did your first year as, we'll say with this business, I mean, because I know you were a photographer, but like with the current business you have, what did the first year look like?
Well, okay, so I feel like I'm just going to be really honest. I feel like especially on radio, especially on podcasts, it's like your listeners can smell like insincerity, and they could hear it and they can just see it. So it oozes that. So in all actuality, I did not make a public pivot with my business until February 2016. That's when I completely rebranded my company. That's when I started offering educational components to creative entrepreneurs outside of photography. Yes, photographers are still following the programs that I'm offering, but I made it just a wider net. So when you say, what did your first year of business look like? I'm like, girl, I'm in it. So does hot mess answer? We worked so hard. I would say that in October of 2015, we really, really, really took time away from our photography studio and business. Traditionally, photographers have very strong cycles, and the winter is traditionally a slower time. And so we were just like, we're going to use these next 3 months to rebrand, to create a new website, and to start building out the programs that we're offering. So we rebranded. We launched new websites in February of 2016. We offered a new program called Path to Profitability, which is about marketing and branding. And then shortly thereafter, we launched an Instagram online course for business, and we launched that in July and August of this year. So we've kind of hit the ground running. We are learning things as we go, but I am so stinking proud and excited for how things have fared. The programs have done extraordinarily well, and the feedback we're getting on them, that's the thing that matters, has been great.
That's awesome. And thank you for honestly sharing. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people don't get from the outside, is that as entrepreneurs, there's fluidity between our businesses. I know I have had a number of different ventures over the years, and it never felt like a clean break from one and then a start of another. It just kind of morphed.
Absolutely.
And so it is kind of hard to define, when did this journey begin? I mean, for me, I've been an entrepreneur for 7 years, but the current business that I actually have right now is probably just about a year old too. But I've been doing entrepreneurial work for so much longer. It's hard to make that break sometimes, that definition.
Absolutely. And I think that Brené Brown mentions this term that has stuck with me for a while. She had said, it's so easy for us to gold plate grit. which means that like once we've done something successful, we could look back and be like, oh, I worked so hard on this project, but I'm so glad that it's a success right now. And so you quickly brush over years of hard work and painstaking mistakes that we make as entrepreneurs, and what people see on the outside, and it's totally magnified with social media, is life is so great. Look at how great this launch is going. I launched a new product, just rebranded, and nobody knows or really can admit like all of the behind the scenes heartbreak that happens as you pivot and as you learn and as you make mistakes. So I'm actually happy that we're having this podcast now, because I hope in like a year, 5 years, and 10 years, I can look back and be like, girl, you learned a heck of a lot. Good for you.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think so often, like you said, it's those untold stories of, you know, this person seems like an overnight success from the outside. Suddenly they blast onto the scene and, you know, they're everywhere. And you don't realize they're like 3, 5, 10 years in the making of that overnight success.
Exactly.
So what are you most excited about right now? Like what has just like got your juices going and you're so excited to be working on or bring to fruition?
Well, you know, it was really, so one of the biggest learning lessons from this year was that we had put together a live event, which we entitled Path to Profitability. And we had a live event in Dallas and we had a live event in Los Angeles. And in each city, we had 50 entrepreneurs come out, and over 2 days, we really just kind of like gutted businesses and we learned from each other. And we recorded the event in Los Angeles because we wanted to make it available for a lot of people who couldn't make the live event. And in my mind, I had said, okay, so we're going to record this, and then in a month, we're going to get the digital version out. We're going to do da-da-da-da-da. And then, of course, life and business has very different plans. And at first, I was kind of like, why is this not working out the way that I want it to work out? But in actuality, the thing that I needed to listen to was my gut, and my intuition was to launch such a large online course. I mean, we have about, I think, 15 hours of content, like everything to gut your business, rebrand it, and then market that new personal brand. Mm-hmm. And I thought, as I step into a new industry, I don't know if other people know who I am in the capacity in which I know I have the ability to transform businesses. So to step out with such a big course and a higher ticket item, I think probably would have shot myself in the foot. And so I had to have the wherewithal and the hard conversations with my husband to say, can we put that project on hold? Let's do some really fun, great, kind of easy digestible courses, which is then when we decided to create and launch an Instagram course. And that's just about 4 hours of content. It's a lot of great stuff. And I think it builds trust with people in a way that positions me in a new industry. And the thing I'm most excited for is launching Path to Profitability in February of 2017, which seems like, wow, that's a while from now. But I know that with certainty, a full year later, we're able to really build out the course in a way that I didn't have the ability to, 6 months ago. So for me, I'm so excited for that course, because to me, that's like my labor of love. I poured my heart and soul into it. And to see actually the students, the 100 students that have gone through the course, to see their success and how their business has changed, because it's a big undertaking, I would not have been able to see the massive benefits in 2 or 3 months after the course. And so to see full maturation 12 months later is really, really, really empowering.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I feel excited for you just hearing about it. I mean, it sounds really, really awesome. And I think that's one of the things that, we have to realize as entrepreneurs is like we kind of need to keep the macro and the micro in focus at the same time. It's like, okay, what am I working on today and this week that's moving my business forward? But like, what's the big vision? Like, how am I still on track for getting there? And to balance that, it can be really challenging. I mean, so like, what are some things you do for yourself to kind of keep you grounded in the day-to-day, but then also keep that fire lit for those big projects that are coming down the pipeline?
Well, this has been the biggest pivot, or not pivot, I want to use that word carefully. This has been the biggest change in my mindset as I've entered into a new industry, as I'm talking to new entrepreneurs, is that it's really important for us to have, for your girl bosses who are listening to this, for these major leaders, and for myself in my own business, I need to maintain the mindset of a CEO. And that's very different than having a mindset of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur starts the business, but a CEO grows the business. And so for me to kind of keep my feet on the ground, that I have to now be empowered to delegate tasks to my business partner, to my assistant, to bring in other people who are better at what they do than I could ever be. And that's really scary to a lot of new businesses. And right now, like, especially we're in this like massive time of transition. And for me to be paying a lot of people to help us get launches off the ground and to help us get the online courses dialed in, that's scary. But that's scary as an entrepreneur, but it's not scary as a CEO. A CEO says, like, I got to get business done. If I'm not creating new content, then I'm just sustaining my business. New content is the only thing that grows the business. And that has been the biggest shift in keeping my feet on the ground and then also my head in the clouds.
Yeah, that was a big shift for me this past year too. I had been, doing a solopreneur, entrepreneur mindset, like totally doing everything myself, like did my own website. And like, in some ways I loved it because I'm a micromanage perfectionist. But then I realized that there is not a single successful person out there that does everything by themselves.
Oh, right.
And
I mean, they're not sane.
Yeah.
If they get all this, they're not sane.
No, they're not. And they're not living that, you're talking about that lifestyle of like having a free day with yoga and delicious meal with the family. Like, they're not having that. And so
Yes.
to wrap your head around, like, I need to delegate. I need to give myself some help and, start small if that feels uncomfortable for you. Like, start with, 5, 10, 20 hours a month of assistance from maybe a VA or something. But it's so essential to start building that team of support around your business if you're really looking to be in it for the long haul and to scale up.
Absolutely. Amen.
Yeah, completely. So let's see, what did I feel like I had something I wanted to ask. Oh, you've had some like great things, from Brene Brown, and then, that little tidbit about just like an entrepreneur starts a business, a CEO grows a business. What is a piece of advice that you'd have for the ladies that are listening who are maybe in those early phases of entrepreneurship, trying to move things forward and maybe get in that mindset of the CEO?
So, okay, how about a point of clarity for this? So your listeners, like, what kind of, where should I be speaking to the audience? Are these new entrepreneurs?
Yes.
Because I feel like, okay, great. So the thing that I would probably break it up into a couple ways. And first and foremost is to give yourself grace. As a new and burgeoning entrepreneur, it's really difficult to look at yourself and say, I give myself the permission to make mistakes. I give myself permission not to know everything I should know. I give myself permission to take a day off when I need it. And I wish that somebody would have said, because I think in the beginning I got so caught up with doing everything and not making a misstep that I almost forgot to enjoy the process, because this process should be enjoyable, or as enjoyable as possible. And then secondly, I would really encourage people to play to their strengths. And I know that this is not groundbreaking, but so often I see new entrepreneurs trying to do everything because they say, because I can do everything, I should do everything. And my advice to that is to save up a little tiny nut of finances, and then you allocate the finances to the weakest point in your business. And if that means outsourcing, if that means hiring a graphic designer to do your website, if that means X, Y, and Z, then that's where you allocate your money, and then you focus on your strengths. Is your strengths writing copy? Is your strengths focusing on social media? Is your strengths creating compelling content? Then you focus on that, and then whatever little bit money that you have saved, invest it in outsourcing to kind of create a holistic approach of your business instead of you just being tapped out all the time and really unhappy with your unrealistic expectations.
Fantastic. That was awesome advice. So following up with that, giving them that advice, is there like an action step or something you'd like to challenge them with to move them forward in their business right now?
Yeah, and I know it sounds very like woo-woo and very yogi, but I have to remind myself of a mantra, and I will change my mantra from month to month, but for a while, my mantra has just been every morning. And when I'm feeling very overwhelmed, when I'm feeling very saddened, when I'm feeling stressed, the things that I say to myself are a written out mantra. And that's basically, and this isn't it for word. I like to keep my mantras a little bit personal, but more or less it's, I have enough, I am enough, I come from abundance, I celebrate others' successes, I am doing the thing that I love, I do not need to be perfect. And once you say those things, all of a sudden you become very deep rooted and grounded in saying, okay, this is where I am, and now I need to go in the other. Now I need to know the direction I'm going, and I'm also going to celebrate other people as we're on the same path.
Oh, that's fantastic. I too find that, a mantra, an affirmation, or a pep talk, whatever you want to call it, it's so essential because, we're hanging out with ourselves all day. And if we've got those negative storylines and those negative thoughts on repeat, it just slows everything down personally and professionally. And I can totally relate right now because I'm in the middle of a launch and, it can make you feel a little chaotic and haywire when you're trying to have all these moving pieces come together in a way that you're picturing. And I had to remind myself, I am doing my best and that is enough. And when I would just say that, it felt so good. And so say something to yourself that feels good. I think that's a good takeaway.
Absolutely. And I know that it feels really stupid, but actually I was listening 2 weeks ago to an interview on NPR, and it was about how this a school in Africa was going to compete on a very large international debate forum, and they've never have gone before. So this is the story of the underdogs, and people were so intrigued. Never has this happened before, and nor are they expected to win, but people were kept on being so surprised with how well they were performing. And the interviewer had asked one of the girls, what is making you succeed? Why are you guys defying the odds? And they say, every morning we tell ourselves we are going to win. Mm-hmm. We are going to do our best. And I'm thinking, and that went kind of branched into the story of how science has proven that you can talk yourself into success. That simply believing you'll be successful will manifest success. And maybe not in the proportion or the amount that you had originally expected, but success nevertheless. And to me, that's powerful.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love that. So lastly, before we part ways, where can the listeners find you and connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can find me at jasminestar.com, and you can find me on Jasmine Star in all forms of social media as well, except on Snapchat. So you can find me Jasmine Star on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, with the exception of Snapchat. On Snapchat, I think I am the Jasmine Star, which is so ridiculous. I jumped on that train a little too late. But across the board, Jasmine Star.
Awesome. Well, Jasmine, thank you so very much for being on the show today. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I really appreciate you sharing all your stories and your insights with us.
Oh, thank you. I am so honored to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.